If you're exhausted from defending your choices, justifying your boundaries, and packaging your decisions in language soft enough for others to swallow, you already know what most women spend lifetimes refusing to see. The performance of acceptability is a full-time occupation with no salary, no pension, and no arrival. Every explanation is a request for permission you don't actually need. The woman you actually are has been narrating her life in a language designed to make others comfortable with her existence. Welcome to Within Her, where we recognize that the woman who has truly arrived doesn't defend her territory. She simply occupies it. Let's discuss the architecture of self-evident authority. Most women mistake explanation for consideration, as if clarity requires a full historical brief and an apology for taking up space. But here's the reframe. Explanation isn't communication, it's negotiation. It's the difference between a woman who says, "I'm not available that day," and a woman who presents her calendar, her commitments, her reasoning, and a three-point justification for why her time belongs to her. One is a statement. The other is a defense attorney making a case to a jury that never existed. She doesn't submit proposals for her own life. Here's what changes when you stop performing transparency as proof of worthiness. First, you reclaim the energy you've been spending on the endless justification loop. Consider how much of your day is spent pre-defending decisions you've already made, smoothing the edges of your boundaries so they don't leave marks, curating your tone so your clarity doesn't register as cruelty. That's not communication. That's emotional labor disguised as communication. The woman who has made this shift understands that her internal knowing doesn't require external verification. Second, you change the frequency of what you attract. People who require constant explanation are people who don't trust your judgment, which means they don't trust you. The universe is precise. It matches your vibration, not your effort. A woman who explains herself broadcasts doubt. A woman who states herself broadcasts certainty. The people invested in your doubt will never be satisfied by your clarity. Your reasons won't convince them. Your detachment might. Third, you collapse timelines. While other women remain in deliberation, asking permission to enforce their own boundaries, crowdsourcing their clarity, you are already in motion. Explanation keeps you in the waiting room. Certainty walks you through the door. A woman who knows doesn't consult. She decides, and the decision stands. Here's the protocol. The woman who doesn't explain herself operates from three non-negotiables. 1. She distinguishes between explanation and information. Information is offered when relevant to mutual understanding. Explanation is performed when you're seeking approval for something that doesn't require it. The woman who has arrived shares what someone needs to know, not what they want in order to feel comfortable with what she's decided. The difference is discernment, and discernment is the signature of frequency. 2. She eliminates the apologetic preamble. Before most women state what they actually want, they build a landing pad of justification, the reasons why they're allowed to take up space with their preference. The woman operating from certainty doesn't. "I'm not interested" arrives without the backstory of why she's earned the right to her disinterest. "That doesn't work for me" stands alone, unaccompanied by a resume of conflicting obligations that prove her unavailability is legitimate. She trusts that her boundary is reason enough. 3. She stops confusing silence with secrecy. The woman who has arrived understands that discretion isn't deception. She doesn't owe anyone a window into her process, her timeline, or her reasons. She's not hiding. She's simply not performing. There is a particular kind of power in the unanswered question. in the boundary that doesn't defend itself, in the choice that emerges sovereign, untouched by committee input. The world doesn't answer requests, it answers to certainty. And the woman who no longer explains herself isn't being cold, she's being precise. She has recognized that her life is not a democracy where everyone gets a vote on her choices. She's not being mysterious. She's being unbothered by the opinions of people who aren't responsible for the outcome of her decisions. You were never meant to translate yourself into digestible portions. The exhaustion you feel isn't from the decisions you're making. It's from the performance of making them understandable to people who wouldn't choose them anyway. The woman you're becoming doesn't require a supporting document for her existence. She is the document. Self-evident, self-contained, self-authorized. Welcome home. This is Within Her.